are listening to the Create.Live.Grow Podcast. This is where we talk about how people of color, creative millennials, learn to develop themselves as entrepreneurs. Every other Thursday, we talk about personal development, building and maintaining healthy relationships, your wellness factor, as well as industry hacks and tools of the trade. We are your hosts, Phil, Foulé, and Janae.
So welcome everyone to the Create.Live.Grow Podcast. Today, we're actually going to be talking about why we even started this. So before we get started, I want to welcome in my co-host. Hey Phil, what's good?
Man, I'm up in this piece. What's going on, my beautiful sister?
I'm doing well. And Modern Medusa, what you doing?
Hey, my bro and sis, I'm just, enjoying this beautiful, beautiful day today. How's everything going, y'all?
It's going well. So, today's our actually like our inaugural podcast. Like this is the inaugural episode. So we wanted to start the people off right by actually just talking to them about why we're starting this. Like, what is the need to have this Create, Live, Grow podcast? Like, what happened, y'all? Why did we decide to do this thing?
Well, I would definitely say that I feel as though this podcast was created for creatives, artists, entrepreneurs to feel at home, a home where ultimately they can learn, they can develop, gracefully grow, live, and create.
Did you see what she just did there? I heard what she did. Did you hear what she did, Phil? Okay.
Yeah, she reversed it.
I'm just saying. She flipped it and reversed it?
Yeah, she flipped it and reversed it. Straight Missy Elliott in the piece. You know what I mean?
There you go. Look, I'm just saying, I want y'all from the very beginning to understand that though we are extremely focused on what it is, why we're here for this podcast, we're regular people and we love to have fun. So you will hear us cutting up on this podcast. I'm just going to give you a heads up now. References may come out. Phil shenanigans is going to happen. I'm just telling you that. Modern Medusa, she's one who likes to kind of bring us down and ground us, but don't think that she can't come with the ones and twos either. So I'm just prepping y'all for what's coming through, okay? But as you heard, what Modern Medusa said, we decided to create this podcast because we saw a need. Phil, why don't you tell us more?
Yeah, I to be honest, it was hard for me to find places to get information from that talked about, what I'm doing as an artist. Like a lot of people talk about that, but me personally, I'm a person that can get really deep into my own grind and kind of get tunnel vision. So there was different elements that I also needed to get into. So like actually living, so I can be so caught in my grind that I don't know how to balance life things, hanging out with friends, hanging out with my significant other, or hanging out with or going kayaking. How can you experience life as well as create the universe that you're trying to put yourself into, because we're all trying to create this life for ourselves. And but how do you actually how do you balance out creating it and actually living within it, and then I think a lot of people get stalemated, to where they created this stuff and they found a system to do it, and they just do it the same way every time, and then they go and they do the same, they do the same things, and that through that monotony, you don't end up growing. And as a person, as an artist, and I think even growing as a person is even more important, because if you grow as a person, then your perspective changes on your art. So your art grows almost automatically to me, that's me speaking because I, as an artist, my art kind of shifted
Yeah.
from medium to medium. So
Yeah.
I'm a musician, you know, I was really heavy into that. And then spoken word poetry became an outlet. And then I went back to that. And then I got into film. And then I got in, so it migrates um, based on the person that you are. And that's fine, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but in order to go to that next level, a lot of times we have to confront, certain things so that we can shed that past self and then grow into somebody else. So like that was my basis for really wanting to spearhead this particular podcast because I felt like um, the people that I would really wanted to do it with, which these two wonderful women that I have on here at the moment are there. I think they had so much insight and doing something that not only was economically beneficial to creatives, but something that really kind of it really attacked different issues that went beyond just business.
Yeah.
How to maintain friendships.
Yeah.
How to maintain relationships with your family.
Hmm.
How to balance kids. I don't have children, but I've dated women with children. And how do you, as an artist, an entrepreneur, have a partner, and then have a partner with children? How do you balance where your income isn't necessarily as consistent, in the beginning phases? How do
Yeah.
we navigate these spaces? So that's where, for myself, that's where that came in. So like, Filet, did you have any like insight on how you got involved with this particular podcast and why it was created?
Yeah, I mean, one, you, before I go and dive into that, you said a lot of great points when it comes down to it, right? And I don't want to gloss over that whatsoever. And please definitely jump in when you can. But it's just like I know for me, the reason why I decided to say yes to this podcast, one, is because I mean, let me just be honest. One, it's because of you. I like you, Phil. I trust you. Like we've been in community together in this type of way. I know how you operate. I know how you flow. I see your integrity. It's just you as a person. So it's just like, yeah, it made it easy for me to say yes to be a part of this project in this manner. The other side, as well too, is like, and I know Janae, and I see the way she flows, and I see what yo, I'm just saying, sometimes like I don't, like I don't look at competition. I don't believe in competition. That's just personally me. That's just how I am. So take it or leave it for those who feel whatever, which type of way. But the way Janae is sometimes makes me feel like, oh, damn, am I doing enough? Because this lady over here, I mean, how many books can you put out within a year? I'm over here still contemplating, like, yeah, I haven't done spoken word in a while. Should I even just get back into the scene? And here, another book. Here's another book. I'm just like, okay, little lady. Oh, so this is how we are. This is what we be doing in these streets. Got you. Okay, got you. Got you. I'm just saying, because and then the pictures come out and you see like the poses and she's just and it's another 6 months, whoop, another book. I say, yo, okay. Oh yeah, I just got my coaching certificate as well too. Ma'am, I'm still trying to figure out this thing. I'm still just trying to figure life out. But you over here reaching, oh yeah, I have clients. I'm bragging on her for a moment.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate you.
But yeah, so when Phil was just like, yeah, I like the three of us, I was like, absolutely, right? I mean, it's not hard to say yes. Look at who I'm surrounded by. Anywho, so that was one. It made it easy. I have like production over here, I have like, oh yeah, I know how to actually create. Like creation is not just a thought in my head. This is like, I have books to show you that I know what I'm doing. Cool. And she still lives a life, y'all. So it made it easy to say yes. Especially when I see Black folk doing the damn thing and whatever it is in their own realm, like that's the thing that made it easy for me to say yes to this project. So that was one. Two, I've been in business and I've been in business for quite a few years. I've owned a few businesses as well too. Like currently I own two. I've owned two others before. I had them, shut them down, the whole nine. So business is nothing new to me. Entrepreneurship is nothing new to me. However, what was new to me within entrepreneurship is just like the problem that I was seeing within this entrepreneurial realm, and especially as being a creative entrepreneur, because that's a big deal. It's different if I am just strictly in it for the sake of like say, and I'm trying to think of like business wise, say like, I contract and I'm in construction or something like that, right? Like that's one thing. Say I own a brick and mortar kind of thing, or business in that type of way. That's something else. That's still entrepreneurship. Say I am just whatever, like even doctors, like people don't even actually think that doctors are entrepreneurs, but they are too. Like if you own your own practice, you're an entrepreneur, feel me? But a lot of times when we were thinking about entrepreneurship, and when I see entrepreneurship, it was done in a very typical realm, in the very like, traditional, that's the word I'm looking. It was done in a very traditional realm when it came down to entrepreneurship. So even like being IT, if you're within the IT realm where you're dealing with computers, or even quote unquote like some web design, and I'm not putting fully that out there because that's even shifted, but if you were in that, like I know people who have IT companies who are website builders and XYZ, and they just flow, and like it's in a very traditional sense. The problem that I was having is that finding people that look like me, who are also creative, who are also in this entrepreneur field, to understand like, well, how do I take these creative gifts that I have? Like, this is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I want to do, but how do I really turn this legitly into something? Like, how do I make it profitable? How do I make it sustainable? How do I also do this thing ethically? And those are questions that I ask myself because that's what's important to me. So yeah, so I'm asking about that, and I'm looking around, and it's hard. It's hard to find this. I think the other side too is like, we live in the Tampa Bay area. Now, the thing is the Tampa Bay area is actually a very creative area. But when it came down to actually finding community for people who could talk, like, let's actually talk our talk, let's give each other resources, so forth and so on. And this was hard. It was hard, like finding the Black creatives within this realm that we could really connect to, who are about their business. Not like, oh, this is just a cute little side hustle, or I'm just making a little bit of, chump change on this over here. But like, I want this to be something that I do consistently. Has not been easy. And I've been, like I said, I've been around for quite some time. I even went to an arts college down here. So I was in this realm. I was surrounded by artistic people, but so many Black artistic people down here as well too ended up leaving because Tampa couldn't support them. And that was a problem for me. That I'm just like, how is the city not able to support? I mean, you literally have a very well-known arts college down here, and you're not able to support the students that are coming out. Like, there's something going on here, and I need to understand what's happening or whatever. So I've seen it in multiple realms. I've seen it within myself. I've seen it with friends who are DJs as well too, right? And like the hard road it was to just get on these, just to make these trajectories. I've seen it within the spoken word realm as well too, Black on Black rhyme was definitely introduced to me. And I've seen like what it has taken to do this. I've seen the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs to try to make this thing sustainable. I've seen the different areas. I've seen physical painters. I've seen even those that are within like the metaphysical spaces, the metaphysical creative spaces. It's just been rough. And I know for me, like I used to own a jewelry company as well too. I used to make my own jewelry the whole nine, and I shut it down because I was just like, this is too much. Like the lack of collaboration, the idea, like people are just so afraid of competition. And like I said, I don't even think about competition. I like to collaborate. The cattiness within the realms as well too, or just the lack of support. I saw this within this entrepreneurial realm, and it was a bother. And so trying to connect with other people who are creatives, who are about their business, has been a struggle. It was a struggle for me, truth be told. It was a struggle because I think people would either look at you and come in and be like, oh, see, for whatever reason, it's like you're immediately deemed a threat because you're coming in with some type of creative ability, not understanding that it's like, hey, I'm not trying to take anything away from you. Do you not understand that there's more than enough to go around? Like, there's more than enough to go around. But the question is, how do we tap into this? People weren't doing this. And so when it came down to business, that was one big side, like the lack of collaboration, the lack of like community within this, and especially creative community to actually talk. Like, can we really just sit and talk, like for real, without all this extra rhetoric, without all this whitewashing, without all these words? Can we just, we as Black folk, can we just talk how we talk for real? Like no questions asked. I'm talking about, I'm not code switching for you. I want to know what's real. Give me the tea. Like for real, what's happening, you know? Trying to get that, you would think would be something easy. No, because people were either coming with agendas or people were too afraid, and you see it happening, and it's affecting business and it's affecting collaborative efforts as well too. So like I said, that was one big side. I think the other side is too, is like when I got into business, no one really tells you all that it takes on the back ends to actually make your business run. As a creative, like they don't tell. So we're going in here with like our amazing creative ideas, like, oh, okay, we gonna do this. And then when the reality of all the things that you need in the back end, and you're just like, hold up. So there's a system for the, okay, so how am I gonna collect money? Oh, I'm just gonna use Square and collect money. No, it has to go to a bank account, but it can't be my bank account because this is an official business, or is this a side business? Like all of these things start coming into play. Oh, well, how do I get in contact with you? Is it going to be through your IG, your Facebook, or phone number? But it's just my personal Facebook page. It doesn't show anything about my business. So do you have a business page? Okay, so I need to create a business page. Okay, cool. So, okay, bet. So you create something cute, you create the business page, you do whatever it is that you need to do. People are just like, okay, but I want your services. Okay, well, what are your contracts? Contracts? I need contracts. I need to have what? Okay, so yeah, do you have QuickBooks that's keeping in touch with you? What QuickBooks? What the heck is going on? Then you start to understand all of the systems that come into play. Okay, well, yeah, I really like their Instagram and I like the way they're posting their stuff. And you on there trying to just use Instagram to create the things, and you're just like, this don't look the same. What's going on? Oh, there's actually an app that helps you create the stuff outside so you can, look, I'm just giving the small little things. These are just the small little things. Let's not talk about people wanting to, oh, well, if you want an email list, okay, you can have, so how do you capture the emails? Where are they gonna, all of this rhetoric starts coming into place. Capturing emails, needing a website. How do we contact? When it comes down to contracts, okay, who do you use for your calendar? Like, if people want to book you out, what calendar system are you using? Okay, do you have a CRM? Like, it's all the things that we don't talk about, that they do not just blatantly say, this is what you need in order to run a business, period. I didn't even say successful. I just said business. Feel me? You need all of this. Then you start to see all the people that you need as well too. Because then you start to find the niches that you're in. Like, oh, do I actually like posting up on social media and doing reels and stuff like that? Where some of y'all are like, I can't stand doing reels. I don't want to be seen on social media all the daggone time. Like, this isn't I don't care. This is not what I want. You need to post up and who to follow. Some people are like, you need to post 5 times a day. You need to create these type of things. You need to do reels. You need to da-da-da-da. But then some other people are like, yeah, you just don't. It's just, there's too much noise.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of noise, and I see the need for a platform like this to be able for people to come and use as a reference, as a resource, and I really think that people need to understand that, one, we don't have it all figured out as well. Like, we're definitely learning as we go. You know, there's certain experiences that we've had that we definitely, because I'm speaking for myself on this, I could tell you where not to go.
Yes.
I've done many things, and the good 80% of them were wrong. But then once you understand what you did wrong, you can flip it around and do right. And so what I was kind of looking on is like, Janae, do you have any experiences that that you might have had that kind of went astray that really kind of brought you, back into the fray of understanding, like, I don't need to do that anymore? That do you have any experiences kind of in that kind of realm?
Absolutely. Being a creative that has multiple interests. I met a wonderful poet and business owner, Jamil Bell. And when I first met her, she introduced herself as a serial entrepreneur. And I'm like, I love it. I want to do that. But it sounds good, but you have to know that there's so much work. And as Filet said, you can have the intent and the great morality to want to start and do things, but you cannot do it alone at all. Anything in this world you cannot do alone. I don't care how independent or solo-minded you may think you are. So I definitely have the experience of trying different things, dipping my feet in different waters, and having great failures. And I call them great failures because there's always a lesson to be learned. But within all of that, saying that to say, don't give up. There's plenty of times that I wanted to give up, but I didn't. So, just knowing where your heart is as a creative and as an entrepreneur, and understanding that only the strong survive.
Yeah. Again, that's why this platform is so necessary, because like she said, only the strong survive. That doesn't necessarily mean as an individual, like no person is an island. What I mean? And being alone needs to be synonymous with death. What I mean? Because when you're alone, you end up really cutting yourself from all resources. You start imploding, and a lot of people think that they can do things by themselves, and I'm one of them. I'm a person that will try and do everything myself. And what I found was you reach a certain plateau, and although with a group you go slower, you have a high top speed. So you end up going even faster and farther than you ever believed,
Yeah.
But the balancing act comes in with community dynamics, and so that's where this platform really comes in play, where we can build a community centralized around, speaking these transparent events in our lives, these transparent philosophies, these transparent just ideologies, because decoding through those things, really working and finding solutions to those things are what we need, especially when I first got involved with Black on Black Crime as the president. I came down in 2013, and like there was a lot of things that I didn't know, especially about the culture here in Tampa, you know.
Mhm.
And so when you're coming into this culture and you're not necessarily aware of the dynamics, Tampa in the beginning when I was here, um, when I first started off as far as in spoken word, it was really community driven, you know, um, to where, it was groups and people like to be involved with a specific group. They was like, okay, we're together, but as time went along, it migrated into more about the individual, and there's nothing wrong with people seeing strength in themselves, but it takes away from the collective when you start thinking of yourself outside of it, you know. And so, Filet, you could kind of tell us a little bit more about like how the community would definitely be in need of a resource like this,
Mhm.
because do you have any experiences to where that could you could kind of support that, like why this particular platform is so necessary?
Absolutely. I mean, so I'm just gonna say this on here. I'm the one who loves to bring up history. I do. I'm a blurred. I'm a fine blurred, but I'm a blurred nonetheless. Okay. So yeah, I bring up historical narratives, the whole nine and tie everything together because that's just what I do. So let's take this back, historically speaking. The real need for community, the reason why, especially as Black folk, people of color, the reason why we operate so well out of community is because this is how our literally our ancestors were. This is a historical thing. This is nothing new. So though we try and say like, oh, community, we're doing something new, we're technically not. We're not doing anything new. All we're doing is tapping into who we naturally are as people, period, and who we are within our groups, within our community, like we're tapping into our, like literally the indigenous nature of us as people. That's what this is. And I speak this from the space of like, I am Central West African, raised here in the United States the entire time. And I've seen it. I've seen it in every pocket that I go to, that we are a communal people. Whether I am back in Africa with my family, we are communal. Whether I am in like literally the city areas we are communal. Whether I'm in Central Jersey where I grew up or whatever else, it's just how we operate and flow. And there is a beauty within being communal. The problem is too many of us, I can't even say two. The problem is that we've drank the Kool-Aid because we've grown up in this Kool-Aid of individualism, right? Like we've grown up in this false rhetoric of individualism. And I do not mean
Mhm.
false for the sake of that, like there's a problem with you being an individual. No, when individualism becomes your macro identity, that is the problem. And America, Western civilization, let's call it for what it is, white supremacy has taught us to put the individual above all. So it's like we completely negate community. What for us as a people, you basically are undercutting yourself. You're actually doing yourself more harm when you put individual above all. Okay. So this is the thing. There's this interesting thing that's taking place right now where, a lot of stuff is about self-care, about putting yourself first, XYZ, so and so on. And we do need that. Like you do need that. You do need to think about yourself. You do need to think about what is it that I need? How do I flourish? What makes me function? What is good for me? Because if I am not whole, then I'm not able to give out of the wholeness that is of me, right? So it's the same thing, even in these spaces where it's just like, you need that. You need the wholeness. You need to think about yourself. But the question at the other end is like, but why is this as well too? Who does it benefit is the question that I like to ask. Who does it benefit your wholeness? Because if all you're thinking about is yourself, if your wholeness is only to benefit you, I promise you, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. I mean, I'll pause right there because I can go down this trail, but I'm gonna just hold back real quick. We have a whole season to get through. So I'm just saying, it's just like The problem is when you are thinking about yourself in that type of manner, and you're not thinking about who this is going to benefit, and the only person you're thinking about is yourself, in essence, now you are actually becoming a hindrance to the greater collective of what is supposed to happen. That's the nicer way of me saying it right now.
Mhm.
Some of y'all will catch that on the way home. Others of y'all, let it digest. It's okay. But you end up actually becoming a hindrance. So the whole thing is like, even within community, the need for community is a necessity. However, when it comes down to it, you, the individual, need to be whole or need to do whatever it is for you to work on yourself so that you can be part of this community as well too. It's a back and forth. It is a both and. We are in, like, literally, this is a both and ideology. This is not just about me, myself, and I. This is about a both and. You are good. When you are good, I promise you, then the collective is good, because the collective is also a reflection of you. And you are also a reflection of the collective. And it's a back and forth thing when it comes down to it. So when it comes down to even business, right? When it comes down to creating, when it comes down to living and growing, when it comes down to being a creative, we are a reflection without even understanding of the community that's around us. So if you find yourself by yourself all the time, guess what? Your community, you're actually reflecting what's happening within your community as well too. Because it's like, who's checking up on you? Did someone hit you up? Did someone just send you a text to say, yo, like, Phil, I miss you. What's going on? How are you doing? Is that happening? Are you doing that as well too then? Because then that's the accountability portion of, like, you understand that you are a full individual. There is autonomy. And yes, autonomy is your inherent birthright, period. To be autonomous, nothing wrong with that. It's yours. It's yours. Have it, walk in it. However, though, but you are also connected. Interdependence is the word that we really need to start working on. And that's what community is about. It's about understanding you don't have everything within yourself, period. You don't. I even have to start shifting that rhetoric of mine, of that thinking of like, well, no, you have everything within you. And the person who actually helped me do this, her name is Dana Knuckles. I actually follow her. She's the People's Oracle on all the interwebs. Like, you'll find her. She ended up saying that one day when she was just like, you don't have everything within yourself. Like, that's a fallacy for you to think that you actually have everything in yourself. She's like, this is the reason why, though. And it's okay to not have everything in yourself, but then this is the reason why we have relationships, community, other people, so that the things you don't have, someone in there has it. And this is where they get to shine. Like, I look at community, and the reason why it's so important is because we don't have everything individual, that this is supposed to be coming, that this is a coming together, that the pieces that you don't have, someone else has. But as they have it, guess what? They get to shine in the thing that they have. But it doesn't diminish your shine as well, too, because they also need what you have. It's an ebb and flow. Like, do you not understand the depth and richness that there is when we are able to truly come together to see, like, the gifts in other people and benefit off of it? Like, not use, and well, you could use it or whatever else, but I'm just saying, honor it. Let them do what they do. Lean into it as they lean into you. When we do this as a collective, like, it is a beautiful thing. And even in business, it doesn't change. That's the thing. It doesn't change even in business. So, and especially as being a creative, we need community. Like, I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're like, oh, well, I'm a learner. Good. Be alone by yourself for some time and then come back. Like, don't play this. I'm just, by myself. Like, no, these are things that we need to actually start shifting the way we see our mindset, our frameworks of what we've been living in, and stop understanding, like, and start to understand, like, stop drinking this Kool-Aid of individualism. This is the BS that we see happening right now within this country. We see literally individualism at its highest heights. COVID is the thing that had to teach us how to become interdependent. Let's call a spade a spade. Like, COVID was not fun. It's still not fun or whatever else. But it is, when I say that thing was a major foothold to say, if y'all don't understand how much you need each other,
Mm.
And if you do not understand how well connected you are to each other, that one person, yes, all it takes is one person to be able to affect the whole. If you don't get that, I don't know what y'all need. I don't know what y'all, it's the same even in business. It's the same thing. We need each other, and one can affect the whole.
Mm.
It's like that. One can affect the whole, but then the goodness is when our gifts are actually out there, when we are sharing, when we are collaborating, when we're doing this, you get to see the flourishing happen on levels that you can't flourish by yourself.
Yeah, let me kind of get a little bit in there because I want to add to that even your actions, you need to check on your actions
Speak
that
on it.
are for other people and see if your actions are still self-indulged.
Mm. Yes, sir.
Say it.
Um, because even things that I would do, I'm only speaking from personal reflection and different things that I've experienced. Um, I would do a lot with, like with black on black crime. I'll use that for instance. I did a lot. I would do a lot of things on my own. But then I had to sit down and think, like, okay, I'm doing all these things, but who am I doing it to benefit? You know what I mean? Like it's for the community, for the artistic community. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's for the artistic community, but the manner of which you do these things also affect the product, right? And
Yeah.
so me trying to take the lead on so many different things is also a selfish act because I'm taking away the opportunity for others to be a part of and have skin in the game on this vision that I'm saying is for other people, you know. So I can't tell other people that this is the direction that we're going, that this is the things that we're trying to do, and then not allow them to prove that they want that they can contribute to what that vision is. You know what I mean? So it's also very much a self-reflective time that we're in, to where we're not just looking at our businesses. We definitely need to reflect on what we're doing within our businesses and see if we're being um if we're being selfish in our goals. You know what I mean? But there's a quote by Ava DuVernay about if your dream only includes you, then it's too small, right?
Mm.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
I thought that was interesting because many of our dreams, many of the people that I would hear, and they would talk about their dreams, it will only be about themselves,
Mhm.
and um, I mean that's okay to start, that's but as once we grow into who we are, we notice that our dreams include our families, our the people that are around us, the people that we love, the people that we cherish, it includes them within it. And just because you're a creative, that doesn't mean that your skill set cannot contribute to the growth of this bigger picture. And a lot of times, what public officials and these different people, they definitely look at us as contributors to the society, but they don't necessarily fully understand the value of the things that we provide. And in itself, that is a selfish act because they're not seeing the value of everyone that contributes,
Yeah.
from the big to the small. And artistic endeavors are not just small, it's what's going to last the longest. Past our all these buildings, buildings will crumble. Past all the sciences, people will know, like, it's the art, you know the art is what carries on. It's the application of the sciences. We take what is theoretical, we take what is proven, we take and we bend it, you know, and we mold it into something that you never thought could have existed. And just like simple rules with the English language, but then you change it and you alter it to formulate poems and to formulate books and to formulate these masterpieces that these different artists have contributed to the society. But we need to start looking into what our actual actions are, and are they reflecting the community in a more in less of a selfish way, because we are human. We are going to have selfish tendencies. I mean, that's just a part of it.
Mhm.
But what I like to think is that we can maybe give uh, some tangible advice as to um, what as far as on this platform is made and was constructed to help creatives specifically, you know,
Absolutely.
um, to create more, to live better, and to grow past whatever situation that they're in. And we we have to give something tangible to the people. You know what I mean? We don't just want to give a whole lot of fluff, you know, because I think a lot of people give fluff, but not necessarily a lot of tangible advice steps.
Yeah.
So for a person that is a creative, um, that is looking to be involved in the community, Janae, what would be the first step that they would need to do? What would you believe is the first step that they should do in order to get involved into the community around them?
I believe the first step that I can advise um, to someone is to understand your why. And when things get hairy, always return to your why. So if you have a space where you want to be in the community as a creative to give back or to change mindsets, or whatever the case may be, never understand that why, create the why, and never forget it. Because at times, to piggyback on what you said, Phil, earlier, of being human and becoming selfish, in those times you want to look back and say, okay, well, this is the why. The why is my community. What can I do to be a better me for my community? So that would be my key advice: to understand your why and to always go back to it.
And that's what's up. You know,
That's
like
very nice.
I think understanding who we are and what we represent and why do we do the things that we're doing is definitely like one of those key elements in understanding um and in spearhead and focusing what our actions are. You know what I mean? Knowing
Mhm.
why we do things, it affects what we do, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what we do if we know why we're doing it.
Mm,
And
Absolutely.
you know, so like I truly believe that is a great first step. Now, Filet, do you think that after we develop our why, what would be that next thing that we could possibly do that could bring us more into what this community should, you know, like into the community?
So mine's gonna be really simple. Okay, it's gonna be real simple. Because I could go left, right, the whole nine, but it's simply gonna be this: introduce yourself. Just simply because I think like we put so much on, like, okay, well, I need to build this business. Okay, so I know my why. Okay, let me like start putting down on paper how I'm gonna do this business. But the one thing that you don't do is that, do people know you? Like, who are you? Do people know you? Introduce yourself to the community.
Mm.
Like, just, hey, hey guys, my name is, put in your name, right? Give us your pronouns. What are you about? Introduce yourself. Literally, I feel like we've made things so complicated. And that I feel like it's time to just simplify. It's time to start stripping things back down. Let's get back. And when I say back to basics, I'm not even talking about like business basics. I'm like, no, let's just get back to some human basics. Hi, hello, my name is, where are you from? So what you do? Like, yeah, I'm hearing, sorry, I'm hearing the song in my head. I'm hearing Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars in my head. Like, what you doing? Yeah, like that, right? But it's that simple where it's just like, just introduce yourself. I think we need to take the pressure off of like, okay, the next step is like, so you need to figure out what your next offer, with the thing that you're going to do or how to produce. F production. I'm not about capitalistic living. Okay. I'm not about this at all. I'm about completely divesting. So say hi. Just enter. What is it that you do? What type of art, what type of creativity is it that you bring? What is it that you're like, let's just have a conversation. And I'm not talking about small talk. I could care less about small talk. But for real, who are you? Okay. So now you know your why. Tell me what your why. How am I supposed to know what your why is if I don't even know who you are? How am I supposed to give you the time of day or an ear if you won't even just speak? Just introduce yourself to the community. It could be to one person that you know, that's it. And from there, you can see things snowball. Like, I'll give a great example, right? So when I first moved down here to Tampa, I came here for college, the whole nine, so forth and so on. I ended up meeting someone, and I'll say shout out to him, shout out to D-Rod. I ended up meeting D-Rod. Okay. And I randomly ended up meeting him because I was going out in Ybor and he used to work down there or whatever else. And this was just like random. I didn't know anyone down here in Tampa. Like,
shout out to D-Rod.
Exactly. So shout out to D-Rod. But I ended up meeting him and connecting with him. And when I met him and connected with him, it was really cool because I ended up finding out like, oh, okay, you're from New York, you're Brooklyn. Okay, you have a Jamaican background. That's what's up. Okay, well, I'm from Jersey. So there was some rapport. Just being able to introduce myself or having that one conversation, I promise you, he was the thing that opened up the door for me here in Tampa to the creative arena. It was him. Just by saying, hey, how are you? Like, what's good? Like, just having a random conversation. That's really what opened up it's through him that I found out about Black on Black Rhyme when I first moved down here. And through Black on Black Rhyme is how I started connecting with others, is how I started moving into these other, like, it opened up the door. Mind you, I'm part of an arts college, but a lot of us were coming from out of town. So we ain't know Tampa. We didn't know how Tampa worked. You know, we didn't know like where to go, what to do, so forth. So we're all trying to figure this out. But D-Rob was really important in opening up that door just by an introduction. That's it. It wasn't anything super more. I didn't come with an agenda. He didn't come with some agenda of like, okay, yeah, Ma, so what you trying to, it was just like, hey, hi, how are you? Mm-hmm. Okay. And from there, conversation, saw that he was into spoken word. I was like, oh, I'm into poetry as well too. I do write da-da-da. From the opened up and it's been a wrap ever since. But that wouldn't happen if you wouldn't just introduce yourself. If he and I just did not introduce ourselves to each other and have a friendly conversation, my world would have been completely different down here.
Wow.
So I literally say, yes, know your why. Great. Now that you have that, introduce yourself. Who are you? Let me know what your why is about. Just say hi. And let's start from there.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think that's super important to introduce yourself. Because once you understand why you're doing something and then you introduce yourself, like, one, you're meeting people with purpose, you know what I mean? So it's like, once you understand why you're doing something, those people that are that can help you along that way, you know, in achieving whatever your goal is, they'll gravitate towards you, you know, and you'll find it's kind of weird how you just kind of move and they just happen to show up, you know. Mm-hmm. Almost like it's preordained by God, you know. But mm-hmm. what I would look at as the third step, you know, in becoming, really getting involved with the community, um, would be to give without looking to receive, in the initial
Yeah.
phase. So um, the act of giving is a lost art, and at least in Black and brown communities. And the reason why is because many of us, we think in disenfranchised mindset.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mindset thing to where we believe that because we don't have a lot, we need to hold on to it, you know
Hmm.
and we think about the ideas that we have, and we need to hold on to it, which you do to a degree. What I mean, you don't want to give
Intellectual
everything away,
property. Yeah.
but um, the act of giving is so important that you actually receive in surplus after you give. But it just
Yeah.
doesn't come if you come expecting to receive, then you won't get it, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a saying that you have to give enough people what they want to get what you want, you know. Um, and a lot of people come into a community and they're like, yo, why aren't people supporting me? Well, number one, we don't know you. And number two, like, you've done nothing for me. So why am I going to support you? And I'm going to be giving resources to people that like already are supporters of me. And if I take something away from them, that's kind of messed up, to give to you who've done nothing for the people that I'm servicing.
Yeah.
So a lot of creatives deal with missions, so they have different missions that they might support. They have different like, they might be supporting the homeless, they might be supporting breast cancer, they might be supporting mental awareness, mental illness. There's many different initiatives that creatives get behind, because that's also another way to kind of focus our efforts, right? And so if you're coming into a community and you're asking for these people who already have missions and supporters and different outlets to come in, support you, and take time to support you and give to you, number one, that's selfish. And number two, it doesn't make me want to give to you at all. I know uh, from a man that came into the community some time ago. I had just gotten involved with Black on Black Crime as a president of Tampa, and
Hmm.
this guy was wondering why people didn't necessarily come to his shows, or he didn't, or didn't want him to do certain services for them. And from the outside looking in, I don't know necessarily that person's relationships with others, but he 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 wasn't necessarily known in the community.
Yeah.
And so this particular person, without, I mean, I'm not trying to, make this about names or anything, but this particular person wasn't known in the community to that degree to where people was going to just jump off of whatever they were doing to come and support this man, you
Yeah.
know? And so if you have a certain thing or initiative that you're trying to push, and you start helping people, and you start really diving into other people's efforts, and eventually, number one, you're going to get known around the community very fast
Yeah.
as somebody who's reliable, who's somebody that's worth investing into,
Hmm.
just as a person. Just think of it as, if you go into your job, and you start doing things for people, more people are going to start calling you. you know it's when you start blocking yourself off where people like, I don't know, but um when you really give, um you're going to receive. They're gonna, if you start coming into the community and you start giving to them, they'll tell you about different opportunities, like, hey, there's another spoken word space over here. Like, all right, I'll check that out. Hey, there's a band playing over here. Did you have like a did you have a poem that you could do? I have an opening. Would you like to perform? Or would you like to read your book? Or would you like to, do a live painting where I'm at,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and from that relationship that you gave into, now it's starting to grow and build into something. And I think a lot of times we start really suffocating the seeds that we're planting with the people that we're trying to uh, be a part of, and we don't see anything grow from it, and we get discouraged because all these different things are happening, and it doesn't feel like, it feels like you're being left out, but
Yeah.
you're only being left out because you're not you, we can't see the value in you just yet, you know and it's no hate in that. It's, I don't know you, and then also I don't know what you bring to the table, so once you start showing that, then people start, oh, okay, well, you're pretty fly, you're pretty dope. I have this other stuff that I think that you would be great on, since you did this for me. You did me this solid. Would you like it if I did give you a shout out on my stuff? Is there a way that we can collaborate? You know, um, but if you go in expecting that, I think you're very much missing opportunities that could just come your way. So I understand that, like, going back to this platform was created to really give this community some one, great information, two, um, practical steps, that you can utilize to achieve whatever you're going to. And I'm not saying like um, it's going to give you 100 every time that you do something. That's you follow these steps, you're going to get 100% every time. Nothing in life is guaranteed. So don't don't think that we're about to give you the secrets to life. But through some of our mistakes, and you might be able to see ways to where you can forge your own path and make the proper adjustments, to see the improvements in your life that you're looking for. So
Mhm.
I don't know, did anybody else have anything else that they wanted to add?
Yeah. Well, no, Janae, were you going to say something?
Yes, just it's really small. I wholeheartedly agree as far as going back into the community and giving back and, wanting to be, known in a sense for people to support you.
Mhm.
I think starting off, or not even starting off, in a general sense, you have to be selfless um, as a creative, and I feel like real creatives and artists, they would do their art for free. And granted, you should get paid for your art. I'm not saying that, but you should have a love so much for your art that no matter what, if I was working here doing this, doing that, I would still do this because I love it so much. Um, there was a speech that I was listening to by Les Brown, one of my most favorite motivational speakers, and he stated that one of his shows, it was around 10K, for him to be paid 10K or 15K, something like that. And someone made a comment, how do you make so much money for just speaking to people? And he said, well, little did you know, I did this for 10 years for free.
Mm.
So I'm reaping, back what I'm getting, so you never know what people are going through behind the scenes, when they finally do make it speaking. But starting off, be selfless, love your art and love what you do, and things will come into you when you do that. And then lastly, I think if we acknowledge that most of the things that we're blessed with when we do give back will not be physical or monetary. Sometimes you doing good by other people or being there, you just added some time on your life.
Mhm.
You just, added some greatness into yourself internally that you may not see or have in your pocket. So you have to realize that as well.
Absolutely. I completely, I agree. I agree to like what both of you were saying as well too. And I'm going to add some caveats to this as well. Because the thing I know that when we're hearing certain words as well too, like it can either be triggering or sometimes it's just like, well, what it can be very either triggering or it can be taken in a certain way. So it's like, let's remove, I'm here to say like, okay, let's remove the grayness. It's not the grayness. It's like I want to be clear. Let's be clear on what is being said and what is not being said, because a lot of people can end up making assumptions about what they're hearing or whatever else in this type of way, right? So when we're talking about creatives as well too, so Phil was even saying this about the whole giving back, and Janae's saying this even about, like if you're going to do it, like do it for free, like be all right that you can do it for free. What we are not saying is that you should not make a living off of what it is that you are doing. We are not. Hear what we are not saying, because I can already hear some of y'all. I hear you. I hear the peanut gallery thinking that we are over here believing in starving artists. Absolutely not. Not. What we are saying is that you can actually make a living off of your artistry, whatever that is, whether it be digital, physical, spoken, however, you can make a living off of your artistry, your creativity, whatever that is. So please don't hear what we're not saying. I don't want y'all leaving this thing thinking about like, oh, well, so they're just down for people being starving. No, we're not. Nothing's cute about being a starving artist. We need to eat, period.
Yeah.
I like to eat. I'm a foodie. I like to eat. I'm just saying it, okay? We like to eat. So we're not down for that. We want you to also know that we need to live. We have bills to pay. Look, taxes, all this other stuff, bills, they're real. I don't care where you're at. Mm-hmm. They're all real. Okay. We can argue on another day whether or not we should be paying for certain things. That's a whole different conversation. But you need to live. We understand that. You have bills to pay. If you are here and you want to be able to try to create legacy as well too, if that's your thing, you need finances. We understand that as well too. So please hear us. We're not here to promote this like false identity of what it means to be a creative. That is not what this is about. I like to dress well. I like to eat well. I love to travel. I'm just saying, guess what? Yeah, that takes money. So we're going to do that. However, we're just saying that in the beginning stages of this stuff, it's not always going to come easy in this manner. Okay. Trying to find your in, trying to understand how to give back to the so forth and so on. Another thing I want to kind of like clear up as well too, and add a point to what Phil was saying, is the idea of like getting involved in community as well too, like trying to just ask for something without being involved and so forth and so on. The other thing that you have to do is you need to know the area that you are living in, and you need to know the climate and culture of that place. Tampa is not the same as New York City, as Newark, New Jersey, as ATL, as St. Louis or Chicago, or like you need to know your creative culture. So how you get in, how you introduce, the ways that you give back, you need to know this. It's not going to be the same. Do not take this as it's a one-size-fits-all thing. We're not about that. You need to live your life in nuance. Nuance is going to be very important on how you move and groove about. There are certain things that, yes, can be universal and crossover in that manner, but you know your city better than we do. We can only speak from our vantage point and from the things that we've learned and we know. But I want you to take this information, chew it, flip it, and make it yours. What works for where you're at? It's always going to be like that. I'm always going to very much so like want to pinpoint you back to what works for you in your area, what works for you in your city. So when Phil was talking about like what goes on here in Tampa and how the culture is shifting and everything like that, no, that's real, because that's here in Tampa. That's in the Bay Area. We can't talk on Newark, New Jersey. We have no idea. That's not for us to speak on. We don't live there. We're not a part of it. So we're not here to put our mouths on any of that. It is for you to make this your own in that manner. So I want to get very clear on that as well too, on like, how do you get involved? on like, what is it that you need to bring? How is it that you even make an introduction? Like, all of that, make it yours. Like I said, mine happened through it was just a random encounter, quote unquote, random encounter in like Ybor City down here, Whereas like for you, it may be in a coffee shop somewhere. You may be on a subway. There ain't no subways here in Florida. It would flood. Like there's nothing below. We're at sea level. So, okay. Like that's just understand. So make it yours. Make the nuances yours. Is it you on the L train up in Chi-Town? Like where you at? Make it yours in this type of manner. So do that or whatever else. And like, even with what Janae was saying as well too, it's just like, learn how to definitely get involved, but like you need to cultivate, like just start the cultivation process in that type of way. She did mention Les Brown, like, yeah, he like he said, he's been doing it for years for free. Now, we're not saying that you need to be out here 20 years not making any, no. I can tell y'all, I think I can get a resounding and y'all can chime in at the same time. We're not trying to do this thing 20 more years for free.
Negative.
Okay. That's a whole no for me. I don't know about you, Phil. You over here doing like,
it's having the love. Exactly. That's also saying, if I'm a billionaire and someone, a local high school reaches out and they can't afford me, at that point, is the love for your art so great that you can still do it, Absolutely. Regardless of
financial status. There you like that's the thing that we're saying. So we are not proponents of starving artists. No, absolutely, that's a whole no. That's a heel to the nah, and nah. We ain't about that life. Like Rosa Parks said, nah, bro. Nah, fam, this ain't it. That's not what this is about. Like, not at all. We need to eat. Like, let's be honest here, right? And so that's what's like, please hear what we are saying and I don't want these assumptions, because I don't want y'all having to come back and be like, well, they said, we should, but I have to. Okay, we get it. We've been there. We've had bills to pay. Look, I can't tell you how many times starting this thing off, phone get shut off, so forth and so on, having to like figure out, how am I gonna pay this phone bill? People can't get in touch with me. I don't, you like, we get it. We understand that. We completely get it. We're here to also make this thing sustainable, though. That's the thing that we're also going to be talking about. So when we're talking about, when Janae says, like, do it for the love of, do you love what you do enough that if you didn't get paid, you'd be all right? Like that, it's just because the love of it fills you. Like, is that real? I could tell you, that's the reason why I shut down one of my businesses, because I didn't love it enough. It was cool. It was great. I didn't love it enough. I was like, this is becoming more of a pain and is removing my love of the thing that it is, like trying to produce. The production part of what I was doing took away the love of just like my natural creativity. Mm-hmm. And then the flip side is, just because you are creative does not mean that everything that you are creative about needs to be turned into a business. Mm-hmm. Like, let me say that again. Just because you are creative and may have multiple creative interests, they do not all need to be turned into businesses. Mm-hmm. Sometimes your creativity is just as an outlet. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because that's the thing that fills you and fuels you. That's it. I enjoy making jewelry. It is easy for me to sew. I can do it, like whatever, I stopped doing the business because when it started removing the love that I had of this craft, of just because I enjoy this art form, I knew I had to stop. I'm not out here trying to be the next whatever major designer. Like, that's not it for me. That's not it at all. And when I saw that my love of the thing started diminishing because of all the productive, like that, I stopped because I wanted to preserve my love for Absolutely. This craft.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And most times those, piggybacking off of what you said, Filet, some of the things that you love to do that are creative art is therapy, and yes. And most times it can be a release for you. Like, for an example, I obviously love to write. But sometimes when, it's not there for me or it's not clicking, I'll paint or I'll sing or I'll dance. And, I'm not a singer or a dancer or, I'm not Dali, but it helps me release some of that creative flow. And so I can be back centered to my writing. So that way I'm not always staring at words or I'm always having a pen in my hand. I'm able to have that release, and it's not business, it's personal for me.
Absolutely.
Sure, right?
So yeah, like this is what this is about. Like, we want you as creatives to be able to thrive, but thriving is more than just making money. That's the thing. Like, thriving is holistic. It is about the entirety of who you are as a person. It is about all of who you are in this manner. And business is just one aspect. Like, yeah, I am a businesswoman. Yes, Phil is a businessman. Yes, Janae is an authoress. Like, yes, this is legit. This is real. But this is not the totality of who we are. You're seeing a piece of who we are, And I don't want you as creatives to get caught up for the sake of like, oh, well, da-da-da. Like, it's not, these are not our identities. It's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be very important for you to understand. Like, these are not our identities. It's what we do. My identity is not connected to productivity at all. So if you can't answer the question, who are you? Or what do you do, without naming work, you have some work to do. And we as creatives even get caught up in this. We so get caught up in this. Well, I'm a spoken word artist. Or, you know what, I'm a singer. Or this is what, who are you? Because I'm telling you, productivity culture, capitalism, white supremacy has got us all effed up, thinking that the things that we produce in whichever way, shape, or form is our identity. Not at all.
Yeah, I think that really has a big play with capitalism, with basically like you're tied to whatever that job is. But that's what this platform was been built for, to have those type of discussions, to address those type of needs, to be there for creatives, to help, find out who they are, but not necessarily, you're not coming here to find out who you are, just for some tools to help peel back those layers and getting to understand who you are. And so we truly thank y'all for staying with us on this long, on this ride today, because we had a lot of information for you guys, but make sure that you tune in with us next week. The shouts out, I want to give a couple shout outs. Shout out to Wally B, Wally B, the founder of Black on Black Rhyme Tampa, that was established September 8, 2001. We're actually having our 20th anniversary this year. So shouts out to Wally, because he hit me up and was like, hey, we're going to have to do something for the 20th. I was like, you right. So shout out to Wally. Shout out to my niece, Miss Sage. She had broke her arm, so I wanted to make sure that she felt
much love.
Yeah,
all the love.
I just want to shout out her real quick. Make sure she know that her uncle love her. You know what I mean?
Yes, go ahead. Uncle Phil love you.
Yeah,
definitely. Most.
And we do too.
And then my last shout out goes out to my mother, because my mother had called me right before the podcast and told me that we barbecuing today. So I'm down for the barbecue. So
shout out Mama Phil.
Shout outs to mother. Okay. Anybody got some shout outs?
I say shout out to y'all out there. Honestly speaking, I want to give a shout out to y'all for being here, for listening, for rocking with us as well too, for choosing to just do things differently, because it's so easy to get caught up and it's so easy to go with the flow or do what everyone else is doing, even within the Black realm. Like, let's not get this thing twisted, okay? Many a times I ain't even talking about white folk. So I just want to shout us out, shout y'all out. Like, yeah, I just see like there's so much beauty out there and what is about to be created, what has been created, the whole nine as well too. So yes. This is going to be an interesting one. My second shout out is to all the Black creatives on TikTok. I'm shouting all y'all out because look, y'all are not getting your just due. And I am tired of seeing overculture taking what is yours and monetizing off of it. Like, look, if it weren't for you, if y'all decided one day to just boycott TikTok, I promise you the app would probably crash. Like, and overculture wouldn't know what to do with themselves. I'm just saying. So I want to shout out all the TikTok people out there from every single dance. I'm like, that's my guilty pleasure. If people have no clue, is like I can spend hours literally watching dances. Like, yes, dances. I love watching all of it. I'm just like, okay, Renegade to the whole entire Natalie Imbruglia song that's come out. Come out again. It's dances. That's a guilty pleasure. I can watch a dance. What?
Let's unpack that real quick. So
really?
This is that guilty pleasure. This is your guilty pleasure? Huh?
I enjoy watching us being creative and dancing. I enjoy it. I can literally sit there scrolling, like watching the dances. I'm not gonna recreate them. I just like watching them.
Okay.
It's a guilty pleasure. So yeah, shout out to all the TikTok creatives out there, like Black TikTok creatives, because I see it. I need y'all to get what's yours in that way. So those are just my two.
That's what's up. Now you guys shout outs.
I would definitely like to shout out my co-hosts here, Phil and Filet. I love y'all, bro and sis. Yes. Secondly, I want to shout out the Black creative artists, entrepreneur. You guys are needed, necessary, and why we are here. And last but not least, I want to shout out my ancestors for having my back, guiding me, protecting me, and filling me with greatness. So yeah.
Okay, ancestors, let's do this.
So we truly thank everybody for listening in and tuning in. And we will see y'all when we see y'all. Peace out.
Peace.